Welcome to our channel, ladies and gentlemen. Every election cycle, I have listened to our leaders, especially those who are contesting for presidential seats, mentioning that during independence, both Kenya and Singapore were at par economically. The Kenya's GDP and that of Singapore were almost at par. And any time we are going for an election, they wonder why Singapore has overgrown Kenya and surpassed Kenya by far. To date, William Ruto still mentions that, and he says that there has been a delay in rolling out this economy and taking it to another level. And Ruto says that he was sent by destiny. He believes that he's got what it takes to take Kenya to the next level economically, to be at par with Singapore. Now, I was checking something here that Kenya gained its independence in 1963, we all know that, and Singapore gained its independence in 1965. Now, both countries had the GDP, like Singapore had the GDP of 1.096 billion US dollars, and Kenya had 1.165 billion US dollars. So Kenya was slightly higher than Singapore. But today, Singapore has grown so much that we cannot compare the two countries. And the question is, why? From where you sit, why do you think Singapore has overgrown Kenya? There could be several factors, but one of the major factors why Kenya has got a sluggish growth, almost a stagnant growth or a downward trend growth, is because of this thing called corruption. Corruption is a vice that has taken down many countries, Kenya being one of them. Now, you wonder why every successive governments cannot fight corruption. It is because they are benefiting from it. Now, today, the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission, a body that was established under the new constitution, the Constitution 2010, being maintained by taxpayers' money, revealed, startling information to Kenyans. Because this body works hand in hand with the Office of the Director of Public Prosecutions. But the EACC, when it was put to task, defended that office, and they are saying that in as much as they try to fight corruption, they get suspects and they interrogate them, they investigate, and once they feel that someone is culpable, they forward the files to the Directorate of Public Prosecution, but the cases are withdrawn from courts. And they're saying that their hands are tied because they don't have the prosecution powers. Theirs is to investigate, then they forward the files. And I want you to listen to them, and you will understand why it's not very easy to fight corruption in this country. Already there is a war between the EACC and the DPP's office. These are two bodies that are supposed to complement each other to fight corruption. I want us to listen to this, and you'll understand why corruption is just a campaign tool. As we do this, allow me to request you to subscribe to our channel and click the notification bell. It allows YouTube to notify you whenever we release a video like this. Please like and share videos. This is EACC Boss.
2013 to 2016, there were no cases that were withdrawn. Then, where we had major withdrawals were between 2023, where we had 5 cases, and 2024, 7 cases, 2025, 2 cases. Now, we have provided the specific cases that were withdrawn with the allegation, the details, the court case details, the action by the DPP, EACC action, and the final column talks about the action by the court. And just as you directed, we may not want to go through each and specific cases unless there is a good reason to do that. I'm willing to go through all of them. Just to say that if you look at case number 1, for example, is the one that talks, the one that concerns Isiolo County Public Service Board, which was withdrawn on 19 September 2023. Then the second one is on Makueni County, is from Makueni County, and the matter was withdrawn on 12 February 2024. The third case, inquiry into allegation of misappropriation of public funds for the construction of Karatina Market in Kiratina Market in.
So maybe let's just sample like number 2. The Secretary said we have the list, so we sample. Now I'm sampling this one. Then CEO would continue presenting. Then you can sample another one. We want really to see what might have happened. Okay.
So let me go through case number 2, Chair,
Yes,
with your concurrence. So if you look at the allegation says inquiry into allegations of abuse of office and fraudulent acquisition of public funds by 6 members of Makueni County Assembly and other county assembly officials for a trip to the United Arab Emirates, Dubai, which had been fully funded by then Member of Parliament, Honorable Dr. Patrick Musimba. So this case, these people were, the trip was sponsored and they claimed allowances. So when the file was presented to the DPP concurred with our recommendation. They were charged. While the case was ongoing, at some stage, if you look at the first paragraph on the court action, the DPP applied to withdraw the case against the 7th accused person, just one individual out of the group. That happened on 13th of February 2023. 1 year down the line, the matter was entirely withdrawn by the DPP. So now that is a scenario we have. When we present a case, the first time, there is sufficient evidence in court as per the decision of the DPP. But as the case goes on, the DPP withdraws charges against one individual and then later decides to withdraw charges against the whole group. So in most of these cases, that is a scenario. So unless you want us to...
In such a case, what is supposed to be the recourse? Does it mean then that witness goes scot-free? Yet in your view, he was culpable?
Of course, once charges are withdrawn against a suspect under Section 87A of the Criminal Procedure Code, that person is set free immediately. He's set free. Once a case is withdrawn, he's set free. And the DPP has, under the Constitution, Article 157, to charge, not to charge, to withdraw with the concurrence of the court, or not to withdraw and proceed on to the conclusion of the case.
Now, what baffles many is the fact that the EACC boss is revealing that the DPP's office has been there before, but the holder of that office is very notorious because he's mentioning that we didn't see much of the withdrawals of the cases between 2017 there to 2022. But after 2023, when Renson Igonga took over and was on the steering wheel, things changed for the worse, and he started withdrawing cases. Now, the other painful thing is that the EACC is saying that they are not consulted. They are not in copy when cases are being withdrawn, meaning that the DPP feels that they have, much authority when it comes to fighting graft compared to EACC. And the EACC office is also wondering why they should be involved at the initial stages. They investigate And once they fought the file, the DPP's office has got the prerogative of cancelling and withdrawing all the cases as much as they want, meaning that they renders the exercise that is being conducted by the EACC useless. This is why I'm telling you that Ruto's dream to take Kenya to the level of Singapore is just but a pipe dream. Do we really have the political goodwill to fight corruption in this country? I don't think so. Because the office of the DPP has become so notorious that judges such as Judge Nyoto, who was handling Aurora and Kimoret Dam, had complained that he sabotaged that process, that is Renson Igonga. He wanted to withdraw the case against Aurora, and when the judge stood firm, he decided to bring just a few witnesses, and because of lack of what I may call, is it evidence or proper investigation and lack of cooperation, Judge Nyoto said she was compelled or she had no choice but to drop that case. So we don't have the political goodwill. And before we fight corruption, we will not get to the level that Ruto is dreaming of. Or rather, I may say this is just a campaign tool, a campaign gimmick. Now, from the revelations from the EACC, what could be the conclusion? Why do you think that this office, the DPP's office, is acting in a manner suggesting that they are not ready to fight corruption? And I'm looking at it and I think this is a way of taming political dissidents, those who are not the non-compliant victims. You don't want to walk the Ruto's pathway, then they ignite the cases against you, and once you've been intimidated, they realize that you've now coiled your tail. They tell you, if you cooperate, then we will also cooperate. If you are political, reading from different scripts, political speaking, then they target you. Once they have ignited all these cases and you are told cooperate, so the moment you cooperate, your case is withdrawn. I remember when Ruto got to power, people like Aisha Jumwa, Rigathi Gachagua, most of those leaders who had got their cases said they won their cases because the DPP withdrew most of them. So the fight against corruption is being used to settle political scores, to target those who are not dancing to the executive's rhythm. And when we target individuals, then we cannot fight corruption. It also means that in fighting corruption, we perpetuate corruption. Bring something so that we can terminate your case. Bring something kidogo so that we can withdraw the cases. So in the process of trying to fight corruption, we take bribes. And in the process, we withdraw the cases. Why do you have a feeling that they take bribes? William Ruto once told Parliament that some of their members took money from a governor as they were writing a report concerning some cases, and they gave the governor a clean bill of health. And Ruto said that they pocketed money, 150 million. If Parliament can take money to vindicate someone unlawfully, what about this office? So they perpetuate corruption as they fight corruption. We have seen friends of William Ruto being retrieved from jail, meaning that those who are being targeted are not closer to power. Once you are close to power, then you know how it works. You are protected. And I think it is high time Kenyans rise up, like they did in 2024, when they declined and rejected the Finance Bill 2024. Kenyans have gone back to slumber. Some are saying we wait for 2027, but even before that, the country shall have been drained to the ground. And so they need to rise up. If there is one thing that took Gen Zs of Nepal Gen Zs to the streets, it was this issue of corruption, where a few individuals, ministers and politicians live in posh estates. They showcase opulence, yet other citizens are living in abject poverty, and they had to rise up for their rights. That is the same thing that will soon bedevil this country, because the government of the day thought they were so cunning that they ended the protests. It didn't end. I can say that this is something that has been postponed, and when the right time comes, the government will not believe it. So, ladies and gentlemen, from the confession, you will realize that we live in a very, very dirty society. Independent institutions that are supposed to help us recover our monies, the stolen funds get further away from us because the very, very office is sabotaging. And you know, an office cannot sabotage without something. If 10 billion has been, let me talk of only maybe 500 million has been stolen, then maybe they can donate 100 million and remain with the rest. And you know, we are dragging our country on a downward trend. These independent institutions have been pocketed. They no longer work for Kenyans who maintain their offices with, a lot of money. Rather, they respect the executive. And that's the reason why all these talks about Singapore will be just empty rhetorics. And so I think we need to look at the legislation again, the policies that guide the EACC. They should be given powers to prosecute, to avoid these files, being sent to the Office of the Director of Public Prosecution, and then they withdraw the cases. The fact that they started withdrawing the cases, very many cases from 2023, simply tells you that this is the president and Renson Igonga. The president, while warning parliamentarians about corruption, said he's the consumer of intelligence and he understands everything that is going on within the circles. And so we believe that he knows very well that corruption fights back. And so, ladies and gentlemen, Kenyans need to rise up and demand for accountability if we have to be safe. For William Ruto, he must resolve this, because if there is going to be a fight between EACC and the DPP, then the seriousness of fighting corruption is a mere rhetoric. It's something that is not going to take place. I don't know what to think, but we have a long way to go to Singapore. And William Ruto must be serious and make changes that are very necessary. That's about it.